before sunrise. The sky is beginning to brighten, though the sun has not yet fully appeared. This space between darkness and daylight is neither the old day nor the new one. It is a transition, a gentle threshold. Notice the air around you, cool, fresh, full of possibility. Ahead of you, the path stretches forward. You don't need to see every twist or turn. You only need to see the next few steps. As you stand here, become aware of what you are leaving behind. A familiar role, an old expectation, a place, a habit, a way of thinking. Without judging it, simply acknowledge it. Silently say to yourself, "Thank you for what you have taught me." Take another slow breath in. And as you breathe out, imagine placing whatever you're ready to release beside you on the path. You don't have to throw it away or force it to disappear. You are simply choosing not to carry it farther today. Notice how your body feels with just a little more peace and space. Now, turn your attention toward what lies ahead. Not with certainty and not with pressure, but with curiosity. Now imagine the first rays of sunlight beginning to reach the path before you. They don't reveal everything. They simply illuminate the next step. Consider what qualities you want to carry into this new beginning. Choose one word that feels meaningful to you. Perhaps courage. Maybe patience, joy, trust, compassion, creativity. Let that one word settle gently in your heart. As you breathe in, imagine breathing that quality into every part of yourself. As you breathe out, imagine it becoming part of how you move through the world. You don't need to become someone entirely new. Often a new beginning is simply allowing more of your authentic self to emerge. Take another slow breath in. Imagine yourself taking one step onto the path, then another. You can go slowly. Every meaningful journey is made one step at a time. Feel the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you don't have to have all the answers before you begin. You only need the willingness to keep moving forward. Notice the warmth of the rising sun now resting gently on your face and shoulders. Its light carries no judgment, only invitation. We are allowed to begin again. We are allowed to change. We are allowed to grow and outgrow what once seemed fit. We are allowed to become. Take a moment to let those words settle. Now bring your awareness back to your breath. Notice the steady rhythm that has been with you this entire time. The inhale the exhale, beginnings and endings, again and again. If it feels comfortable to you, place one hand over your heart and silently repeat these words. I welcome this new chapter with openness. I honor what has brought me here. I trust myself to take the next step. I carry faith, hope, and love into whatever comes next. Take one final deep breath in and slowly let it go. Begin to notice the room and the people around you once again, the sounds nearby, the temperature of the air, the feeling of your body where it meets the surface beneath you. When you are ready, gently wiggle your fingers and toes. If your eyes have been closed, slowly blink them open, bringing this sense of steadiness and possibility with you. May we all move into our new beginning with courage, curiosity, and compassion. One breath, one step, one moment at a time. As you know, the Church Within was founded on the power of prayer. If you have a need for others to pray with you or for you, you may submit your request online at thechurchwithin.org. When you are here at church, you can use the prayer request box in this room. It was pointed out earlier. If you want someone to pray with you today, I will be available after the service at the front of this room for that purpose.
Today's word is home. I am at home in spirit wherever I am. Home is more than a place. It is more than familiar walls, a cherished room, or a well-known address. Home is the quiet assurance of God within me, the steady presence of love, peace, wisdom, and light that goes wherever I go. Buildings may change, doors may open to new rooms, communities may gather in new spaces. Yet the essence of home remains unchanged because spirit is constant. The love we have shared, the prayers we have spoken, the healing we have witnessed, and the light we have carried do not belong to a building. They live within us. As I enter any new place, I bless it with gratitude. I bring my faith, my openness, and my divine awareness. I know that whatever hearts gather in love, Spirit is already present. Wherever kindness is expressed, God is at work. Wherever peace is welcomed, sacred ground is revealed. Today, I remember I do not have to search for home. I carry it within me. The presence of God is my true dwelling place. In that presence, I am always safe, always guided, always loved. With gratitude, I bless every place that has sheltered my growth with faith. I welcome every new space wherever Spirit will continue to express, inspire, and unite. The kingdom of heaven is within us. It is the realm of our own consciousness. Ernest Holmes, in the spirit of science of mind. Now I bring to you Thomas Puckett.
When I wrote the word of the day that Mark just read, I was inspired by the recent trip that we took to St. Louis area, where I'm from. I decided for the 4th of July weekend that we would go and spend a quiet holiday weekend somewhere that I was familiar with, but I had never really experienced, and that was Grafton, Illinois, which is just north of St. Louis near Alton, Illinois, just on the other side of the Mississippi River. And so I decided to find us a place to stay nearby, and just randomly picked a little house that I saw, but it wasn't in Grafton. It was actually in a town called Elsa Village, Illinois, which was about 5 minutes from Grafton. So I thought that'd be great, and we'll go and explore the wineries, because the idea was that we're going to go and try some of the wineries. I didn't want to go to Hermann, Missouri. It was a little bit further than I wanted to do, and I knew there was a nice winery there, so I chose Grafton. And just to let you know, we never made it to we never made it to any of the wineries. But anyway, I found this place, and it was in Elsaville. Never been there, don't know anything about it, didn't even know it existed until I saw this little house, and I thought, this is it. And we took a friend with us, Todd, and he went along with us on this trip. And so Elsa Village, we went there. It was a nice little drive, about 4 hours for us to get there from here. And we entered into the village, and as we entered the village, we saw where, we pulled into this little quaint entrance, and there it said, Peace Studio. That was the first thing we saw, was the Peace Studio, and then it said, Welcome to the Village of Elsa. So right there, we was like, what are we going? Where are we going? Where we don't know anything about this, and it's like, are they going to be okay with the three of us hanging out here in this little town? But we just proceeded forward till we got to our destination. So I want you to envision. I'm going to tell a little story. I'm going to have a seat. We're gonna call this the story of Elsa Village. Okay. So now envision this village where the street is like oblong, and it's a little story, and I'm sorry if we get a little long-winded. I'm gonna read loud and fast. So now envision this village where the street is like oblong in shape, but it circles the village with all of these historical registered homes. So the whole town is that's registered as a historical village is what it is. And there's an old decapitated ice house that sits there, so it's not livable, of course, but it remains. The ruins of it just kind of remains, the brick, and you can tell there was something there that used to be there. Well, it was an ice house, and then there's no stop signs, or no stop lights rather, and it was just really quiet and quaint as we pulled into this village. Okay, so then we pulled around to the front of our rental home that ended up being a Victorian Gothic style house. It was like peach in color, and it was built in the mid 1800s, but it had recently been renovated and turned into not an Airbnb, but into like a VRBO rental home. That's what we ended up renting. So it was quaint and charming and quite nice. And right across the street is the only restaurant in the entire town. And we called to try to get reservations, but was informed that there were no seats available. So we thought, oh gosh, where are we going to go to eat? It's kind of late. We didn't want to cook, and so we just kind of meditated on it. It's like, where are we going to do? Maybe we're going to have to drive into Alton, which is about 10 minutes away. But then I noticed a group of people leaving the restaurant, because of course we're right across the street, so I'm looking at it, longing to get in there, and I'm hungry. And so we walked over, and I said, you know what? There's a chance that we can get a seat in here. We just got to ask. I just saw about 6 people leaving, and it's just 3 of us. So we walked in, it's like, hi. So we're here in town, and we would like to know if you have, and played like we didn't call, okay? So we would like to know if you have any seats available. And they said, shh, let me look and see what we can do. Well, they found a table for us. And so we gracefully accepted that table and had a seat. And the husband is the chef, and the wife was the hostess. So she was the one that ended up seating us. And she even came and talked to us a bit and made us feel really welcome. People that were there in the restaurant also recognized that we were new in town and also began to have conversations and telling us things about the town and just welcoming us at Elsa Village. So we were just engaging with everyone around us, and the hostess and the waiter as well. So one of the ladies in this community came up and began telling us a little bit about the history of Elsa Village. And she invited us to be in their 4th of July pitch-in parade that they were having the next day. And she informed me, you have to bring a dish. So we quickly, after our restaurant experience, we went and made, we went to the store and made corn casserole, but we'll get to that later. So we made this dish and we prepared for the 4th of July parade the next morning. And let me tell you, and there was, let me just go into the parade. We did this. We went there, we dropped the dish off at the Community Civic Center, and then before we knew it, they asked us to join them in the parade. Not just observe it, but we were asked to be a part of it. Okay, so we were like, okay. And let me tell you, there was 3 of us, and I think we made about 25% of the parade. So there was like all eyes were on us in this town. And so there was like this 1950s version of a Range Rover that led the parade, and behind us was an old tractor. And let me tell you, the tractor I heard breaks down a lot. Well, it did. Midway through the parade, it did break down. But it was fun as we, people were coming out and observing us and waving. They were, waving flags. They were waving at us. There were small businesses that were open, and people were stepping out from their business, waving at us as we're walking along, waving and singing patriotic songs that a lady was playing on her little radio on her phone. I believe she had her phone in her hand. And so we just had, but they all welcomed us and just enjoy, and we just had a very cool experience. We go around the block, so it's basically a circle, the town. We go around the block and continue to collect. Some people started joining us in the parade, and we ended up at this town hall civic center where the town potluck was. And so we actually prepared, and we made this corn casserole. We prepared that, and we left it there. So that was there, and there was a table full of food that everyone, I think almost everyone in town was there. At our table sat a lot of people that engaged with us, asked us who we are and where we're from, and we just had a great time with having, telling people where we came from, why we were in town, just for the quiet holiday weekend. And one of the guests at the table is the minister, and he was originally he was a military minister. So he, explained that he had been around the world as a minister, and he even married a couple just recently there in town. So we got to know them a little bit, and we shared that that the 2 of us are married, and he was like, that's wonderful. Just no judgment, and we're like, oh my gosh, these people are nice here in this little town. And then they handed out lyric sheets. And so we did not know, but I guess they were going to sing patriotic, God Bless America, and about 5 or 6 other songs. So we all had these lyric sheets, and we're singing these patriotic songs, and then there was even a trivia game, and then they explained to us, what is that, chicken bingo? I've never heard of chicken bingo, but I guess afterwards, after we finished eating, there was going to be chicken bingo where you I guess the chicken runs around and then wherever it sits, that's your number. So we didn't participate in that chicken bingo, but yeah, it was just an experience like no other. Now, our friend Todd mentioned while we're in this civic center at this pitch-in or potluck. I don't know. When I from St. Louis, we called it potluck. When I moved here, they call it pitch-in. So I don't know. But Todd mentioned he felt as if he was at a family reunion, surrounded by family that he do not recall knowing. He said it just was weird, but yet welcoming and loving. And we met that couple that had just been married by the minister, and they actually are the newest owners of the bed and breakfast in town. And they were a young couple, and he and his wife also invited us to come over and spend a few minutes, have a cocktail, and take a tour of the bed and breakfast, because he didn't understand why did we stay at that house when we could have stayed at their bed and breakfast. And so I was like, next time we will. Oh, gosh. So we had a nice, nice time with them. And then we decided to go for a walk around the town. And there is the School of Science, not the school, yes, the Christian Science School library is in town. That's where their home library is. We didn't quite get to go through there, but there was the history museum of the town. We saw that, and then there was an art museum where it was an old ranch that's set up on a hill that was previously a residential home, but it was converted to an art museum. And then they will get local or other artists from around the world that will have their art displayed in the house. So there'll be art in the bathroom, in the bedrooms, in the basement. It was just interesting walking around this ranch and observing all the different artwork that was displayed. It was very, very different for us. And so while there, at that art museum, we met the previous owners of that bed and breakfast, and they again began to just welcome us and tell us about the town, and it was just amazing. So one thing that I didn't do because I needed to sleep in, but Todd did. He would get up about 6 a.m. and go for a walk around the town, and so he explained to us. He said he can just feel himself and hear himself breathing the quiet and the peace that was in this town as he was walking around and just taking in the visual beauty that was surrounding him, including deer just walking across the street. I mean, just walking across. I mean, he said there was no fear. They was just going back and forth as he was walking along. And then there was rabbits and hawks. And then he said a school of cardinals. Now, every once in a while, when we see cardinals, you just see one, maybe two if you're lucky. But he said, no, there was just this host of cardinals that was just flying around that it just amazed him. And so it was just a beautiful, beautiful weekend. The town offered us also walks along the Mississippi River, or there was a bike trail also. And then there was a hill that went up to, we didn't know where, but we saw the sign and it said Principia College, or the College of Principia. And I was like, what is that? And so it turns out it's the Christian Liberal College. And they have no more than probably about 339 students a semester. And so we went up there, we kind of smiled and asked the guard if we can please take a tour, and they did allow us to take a tour of the campus, which was beautiful. It's set up on the hill so you can look, there was a lookout point where you can look over and see the Mississippi River, and it was just amazing to be able to do that. Mark even mentioned at some point, he's like, I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone right now. I'm just kind of like in awe of what's going on here. I'm waiting for the little dust to come through or the little fog to come through, and then we wake up or something. But it was just kind of unique because we didn't know what to expect. It was just like they just knew us for years in this town, and we've known them for years. And it just kept going, and it was beautiful. Like I said, the town was about 75 people, and it was the most quaint, charming community nestled in between limestone mountains along the Mississippi River. I will tell you, if you need details, I will be glad to share it with you later because you would love it there at the village of Elsa. This leads to my lesson. So I'm going to get up and talk about my title here. The title is Sacred Space, Open Hearts. I am so sorry. I'm sitting here messing up our little display here. Okay. And I just take a breath. Okay. And affirm with me. I think I might have to take this off of here. Silently, just affirm with me. The presence of spirit within me is my true home. The presence of spirit within me is my true home. Wherever I am, God is, and I am at peace. Again, wherever I am, God is, and I am at peace. So today we gather in the spirit of oneness. And I'll be drawing from wisdoms of Ernest Holmes, which I would tell you while we were there, we actually drove into St. Louis Sunday morning for a service, and we attended a Center for Spiritual Living center that I frequent when I'm in town. And of course, their teachings is from Ernest Holmes. But we also, they also spoke from A Course of Miracles. And then I also was reading a book by Kyra Faison Gardner's Sanctuary Within. So I'll be using those resources today as we continue. So we just heard about an ordinary visit to a tiny village in Illinois that revealed an extraordinary truth. And that is that home is never a place we travel to. It is the peace we remember within. Ernest Holmes taught that the infinite mind is ever present and that our thoughts and feelings shape the world we experience. Life is a mirror, he wrote, and what we see reflects what we believe. A Course in Miracles reminds us that miracles are shifts in perception. And when we choose love over fear, the world we once saw as separate becomes a reflection of our shared sonship. And in this book that I read, The Sanctuary Within, invites us to discover that the quiet, safe dwelling place we seek already lives inside of us, untouched by circumstances and always available. So the story of the journey to Elsa Village beautifully illustrates these teachings in actions. What began as a simple trip to the St. Louis area unfolded into a living demonstration of inner sanctuary made visible. Upon arrival, we were met not by strangers, but by immediate welcome. The restaurant owners who came out to chat, the waiter who shared the town's history, the neighbor who invited us to the 4th of July parade. In a village of roughly 75 people, the visitors were folded into the circle as if they had already belonged. This is a miracle A Course of Miracles speaks of. A sudden recognition that separation is illusion. The townspeople did not judge. They simply extended the love that was already present. When the friends shared about our about our marriage, the response was not fear, but genuine joy. That's wonderful, they said. Holmes would say their consciousness of acceptance had drawn forth the same from the collective mind of the village. The pitch-in meal, the patriotic singing, the long walks beside the Mississippi River, where cardinals flew in schools, and deers crossed quietly, all of it was the outer expression of an inner decision to see only love. Notice how the quiet itself became a teacher itself. Each morning during Todd's walk, he heard only his breath, the rhythm of nature, the stillness that the Kyra Vason Gardner wrote about describes as the true sanctuary within. So how do these two experiences connect the outer journey of the inner sanctuary? They are not two things. The quaint homes, the waving flags, the fleeing of being known by people you just met, all of it arose because we were already carrying the awareness of home within us. Ernest Holmes will call it the thing itself, expressing through human hearts. A Course in Miracles would call it the holy instant in which forgiveness and welcome replace any sense of otherness. The Sanctuary by Faison Rose says, will simply smile and say, you found outside what you had already chosen inside. So this week, practice that same shift. Whatever small town or large city you walk through, remember you are not a visitor. You are the presence of love that makes every place feel like home. When you choose to see the eyes of the heart, the world responds in kindness. The peace you seek is not waiting in Elsa Village or anywhere else. It is the quiet breath you hear when you finally listen within. So let us close with Holmes' simple affirmation. I am at home in the universe. Repeat. I am at home in the universe, and the universe is at home in me. And the universe is at home in me. And so it is. Amen. Thank you.